At her dad's birthday, my fiancée introduced me as the guy paying the bills for now. Everyone laughed. I smiled, stood up, dropped the ring box on the table, and walked out. Hours later, she showed up at my apartment sobbing. But she had no idea what was waiting for her. You know that moment when you realize you were never her person? Just a placeholder. A wallet with a face. Yeah, that was me. Not gonna lie, I still feel like an idiot some days even thinking about it. I'm 34, own my apartment, solid job in IT, no debt, decent credit score. Basically, I thought I was doing everything right. I wasn't rich, but I handled my business. And she, let's just say my ex-fiancée, Callie, was real good at playing the supportive partner card. At least until she got comfortable. Started small. Little jokes about my boring stability. Jabs about how she missed her wild phase sometimes. I brushed it off because honestly, we guys always get told we're being too sensitive when we catch that stuff early. But then came her dad's birthday dinner. And man, that was the moment everything snapped. Like crystal clear. No more, maybe I'm overthinking it. No more, give her the benefit of the doubt. Just this sick, cold clarity that hit me right in the gut. Anyway, buckle up. This is how it went down. Like, I wish I could tell you there were warning signs flashing in neon from day one. But nah, it was way sneakier than that. She played the long game, man. At first, it was all, you're so mature, and I love how stable you are. Translation: I was basically the adult version of one of those emotional support animals. Reliable, predictable, zero drama. Which fine, that's kinda who I am anyway. The real kicker? I didn't even see how fast the dynamic shifted until I was neck deep in it. Like one day it's us splitting rent, planning vacations together. Next thing I know, she's between jobs for almost a year. But hey, I got it covered, right? I mean, I figured we're a team, life happens, I can handle it. What I didn't realize was while I'm out here clocking overtime, handling bills, insurance, her student loans, she's out with her girlfriends, dropping little bombs like, well, of course I can order the second bottle of wine, my man's got me. Haha, cute, real funny. But you laugh it off because you don't want to be that insecure dude. You know? God forbid you get labeled controlling these days. And honestly, part of me kept telling myself it's just a phase. She'll get serious soon. She'll appreciate it. Spoiler alert, she did not. But that night, at her dad's birthday, bro, that's where everything finally clicked. And let me tell you, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So yeah, it was her dad's 60th or 65th or whatever. Big deal for the family. Fancy restaurant, private room, whole circus. I show up in my decent suit. Nothing too crazy, but clean, sharp because, gotta show some respect, right? I even brought a damn bottle of good whiskey as a gift. Because apparently, I'm not just the boyfriend. I'm the full-blown sponsor of the evening. Her whole family's there. Parents, siblings, cousins. Random people I swear I've never met but apparently knew me. Because she runs her mouth a little too much at brunch. And everyone's got that vibe, man. Like, oh, here's him, the guy footing the bill. The ATM that happens to have a pulse. Dinner's going fine. Normal fake smiles, small talk, blah blah. I'm playing the role. Because that's what we do, right? We survive these nights. But then it happens. The moment. Like straight out of a damn sitcom, except I wasn't laughing. Her dad goes, all proud. Well, sweetheart, you sure found yourself a good one. And instead of just saying something normal like thank you, or literally anything else, my lovely fiancée, she grins, full on smirk mode, clinks her damn champagne glass and goes, well, yeah, he's the guy paying the bills for now. For now, bro. The whole table chuckles like it's just some cute little joke. Even her mom gives one of those tight little fake laughs. You know the one. The we all know it's true kind. I just sit there smiling like an idiot because for half a second, my brain short-circuited. For now, like I'm some temp worker filling in until the real upgrade shows up. The thing is, I wasn't even mad at first. It was more like surreal. Like, did this chick really just say that out loud? In front of her entire family? After everything? And then it clicked. Everything started lining up. All the little digs, the passive-aggressive jokes. The way she'd introduce me to friends like, he's the responsible one. All while conveniently forgetting who was covering 90% of her damn life. I swear to God, I saw it crystal clear in that moment. I was never her partner. I was her financial plan, her fallback, the walking safety net, Mr. Stability, until someone better showed up or she got bored. I took a sip of my drink, nodded like nothing happened, because see what they didn't know. I'd already been seeing the signs for months, and just in case, I had my little backup plan already locked and loaded. And trust me, man, what came next? Nobody at that table was ready for it. I sat there for another 10 minutes after she dropped that line, not really hearing anything else coming out of their mouths. Their whole happy family act was just background noise at that point. In my head, I was putting every piece together. All those little moments that seemed harmless before. Her, "Oh, you'll cover it, right?" Her, "You're better at booking stuff, babe." Yeah, none of it felt harmless now. And honestly, this wasn't even about the money. People love saying money doesn't matter. No, man. The money isn't the issue, it's the disrespect. When the person you're supposed to be building a life with sees you as a paycheck, not as a man, that's where it cuts deep. I kept trying to tell myself for months, maybe it's just a rough patch, she'll get her footing again, it's temporary. But nah. Sitting there that night, it finally hit me clear as day. We weren't partners. I was the plan, the backup, the while it's convenient guy, and I was done. So I slid my chair back. Slowly, calm. I wasn't gonna make a scene, no drama, no yelling. Just facts. I pulled the ring box out of my pocket, the one I was planning to give her next week. Placed it right there on the table in front of her. She froze. The little smirk dropped off her face. Her dad went dead silent. The whole table did, actually. You could feel that kind of heavy air where no one knows where to look. I looked at them steady and said, "I don't think there's any point in me being here tonight. Have a good evening." Then I turned and left. That's it. No shouting, no lecture, no big exit speech. Just done. Because honestly, I finally respected myself more than I respected the mess I was sitting in. Behind me I heard whispers starting, her mom trying to call after me. But man, I couldn't care less. I walked out of that restaurant, got in my car, started the engine, and I wasn't even angry. You know what I felt? Pure, cold clarity. And the crazy part? That was just the beginning. Walking out of that restaurant felt heavier than I expected, but not in a bad way. More like, final. You know that feeling when you carry weight for so long, you almost forget you're even carrying it? And then you finally set it down, and for a second your whole body feels weird? That's what it was like walking to my car. I sat there for a minute with the engine running, just staring at the streetlights. And yeah, part of me kept replaying her face when I dropped that ring box. Not because I felt bad. Honestly, I didn't feel bad. But there was this weird quiet in my head. Like my brain was finally catching up to where my gut had been for months. I wasn't heartbroken. Not anymore. That part already died way before the restaurant. All I felt was clarity. The kind of clarity you only get when the denial finally shuts off. Like, man, I knew who she was long before tonight. I just didn't want to admit it to myself because it's easier to pretend people mean well than face the fact they're using you. And here's the thing, bro. She was never gonna change. People like that don't wake up one day and suddenly value you. They just move on to the next guy who'll pick up where you left off. And if I'd let this slide tonight, that would have been my whole future right there. The ring, I'd been carrying it around for weeks. Paid for in full. Not cheap either. But it hit me sitting in that car. That box was heavier in my pocket than it ever felt in my hand. That's not how love is supposed to feel. I didn't drive home right away. I just sat there for a while. No music. No calls. Just me and the sound of traffic. For once, nobody needing anything from me. Nobody leaning on me like some walking bank account. And that silence? Honestly, it felt like peace. Real peace. The kind I forgot existed. But yeah, the real storm? That was still coming. Because walking out was only round one. I figured that would be it. I walked out. She'd get the message. We'd both move on. Clean cut. But nah, people like her, they don't take rejection quiet. They need a scene. About 3 hours after I left the restaurant, my phone starts blowing up. Missed calls, texts, voicemails, all from her. The first few, she was still playing cool. "Can we talk? Babe, can you at least explain what that was?" Like I owed her some kind of explanation after the stunt she pulled. I ignored them. I wasn't in the mood for fake confusion. She knew exactly why I left that table. She just didn't expect me to finally call her bluff. Then, somewhere around midnight, the tone flipped. That's when the crying voicemails started. You know the ones. Shaky voice, forced sobs, like she's auditioning for some cheap drama. "I didn't mean it like that. You embarrassed me. Why would you humiliate me in front of my family?" Yeah, wild how they suddenly become the victim when you stop playing along. Around 1 a.m., she was banging on my apartment door. And trust me, I knew she was gonna pull that move. That's why I didn't answer. I sat on my couch, lights off, phone face down, just listening to her outside crying like she got robbed. And for a second, yeah, part of me felt that old reflex kick in. That urge to fix it, to open the door, to be the bigger person. But honestly, that's how they keep you locked in, making you feel guilty for their disrespect. I wasn't doing it this time. The next morning, she sent this long text like a full-on essay. It was half apology, half gaslight. You know my dad jokes like that, I was just playing along. You know I appreciate you. I've just been stressed, you've been distant lately too. Right? Like this was about stress. Like disrespecting me publicly was some kind of coping mechanism. That's when I finally replied. One text. That's it. You said exactly what you meant. And now you're mad because I believed you. No response. That was 2 days of silence. I figured maybe she finally got it. But nah, bro. If only it ended there. Because that's when her mom stepped in. Her mom calling me? Honestly, I saw it coming. That woman always acted like she ran the whole operation anyway. The enabler. The one who smiled through everything while quietly keeping score behind the scenes. She called that evening, her voice all sweet, like we were about to have a polite grown-up conversation. I didn't even bother saying much. She started with the usual how misunderstood her daughter was, how relationships have bumps, how sometimes we say things we don't mean. And I just sat there on the phone thinking, no, lady, your daughter meant every word she said. The problem is she didn't think I'd finally react. Then she got a little more bold, trying to shift blame on me. Said I embarrassed her daughter, made a scene at a family gathering, made her feel unsafe with how I handled it. That word, unsafe, is what triggered me a bit, not because I cared about her drama, but because it's always the same playbook. They disrespect you for months, but the second you draw a boundary, suddenly you're the aggressive one. Honestly, that's their whole game. She tried the guilt angle too, talking about all the plans we had, how much her daughter loved me, and how I was throwing it away over one little misunderstanding. I let her talk, calmly, no interruptions, just letting her dig herself deeper. When she finally stopped for air, I simply said, respect isn't a misunderstanding. And I'm not available to finance disrespect anymore. She went quiet. For a second. Then came the real part, what they always wanted from the beginning. She asked if I could at least still help her daughter stay on the lease for a while until she figured things out financially. That's when I finally laughed. Like, really laughed. Not the nervous kind, the tired kind. Because it was never about love or relationships for them. It was about stability. About me carrying the weight while they smiled and pretended it was teamwork. And when I said no, politely but firmly, she got cold fast. The fake concern disappeared. The tone shifted to condescension. Well, I hope you don't regret burning bridges you can't rebuild. Right? Because apparently setting myself on fire for their comfort was my responsibility. I didn't even respond. I hung up. That was the moment where I knew exactly where this was headed. They weren't gonna let me walk away that easy. The financial part, that was always their leverage. And the fact that I cut it off? That's what was about to trigger everything that came next. After that phone call with her mom, I figured they'd finally back off and start figuring out how to pay their own way for once. But nah, man. 2 days later, I start hearing from mutuals, friends, people we both knew, and the narrative's already flipping. Suddenly, I'm the cold, heartless guy who left her stranded after everything she sacrificed for me. Unreal. Sacrificed what exactly? I was the one paying for 90% of everything while she played Instagram entrepreneur and floated from one half-baked business idea to the next. But sure, now I'm the villain because I pulled the plug on the free ride. One dude I barely even talked to hit me up like, hey man, you good? Heard you kinda blindsided her. I didn't even respond. Because honestly, if you're getting your side of the story from her and not asking me directly, then you were never really neutral to begin with. Let them talk. I wasn't about to start defending myself to people who only cared when there was gossip involved. But what got me wasn't even them. It was the fact that she started testing the waters again after all this. First, a text a week later, all casual. Hey, can we maybe grab coffee and just talk? No pressure. Like nothing even happened. I didn't reply. Then came the little emotional bait, the photos of her old dog that just wanted to share this memory, hope you're doing okay, type messages. Classic play. When guilt doesn't work, they go for nostalgia. But again, nothing. Silence. She wasn't ready for that part, bro. Because see, when you've always had someone who bails you out, the scariest thing is realizing they finally meant it when they said no. And when that didn't work, she started getting sloppy. A few of my clients, people I work with professionally, started mentioning that they'd gotten weird warnings about me. Little rumors floating around, subtle stuff. Stuff you know is coming from her circle. That's when it stopped being personal and started getting messy. Because once you try to mess with my name and my work, that's not just petty. That's crossing lines you don't come back from. At that point, bro, I knew exactly what game she was playing. She couldn't pull me back emotionally, so now it was about trying to mess with my reputation. That's always the next phase with people like this. When they lose control of you, they go for control of your image. I'm not gonna lie, I was pissed. Not panicking, not losing sleep, just the steady, cold kind of pissed where you know you're gonna handle it, but it still burns while you sit on it. I wasn't about to let some petty backroom gossip start bleeding into my work. My name? That's all I've got at the end of the day. I built that. I earned that. And I'm not letting somebody who used to live rent-free off my back drag it through the dirt just because she didn't get her way. So yeah, I started documenting everything. Screenshots, timestamps, who said what when it started. Not because I planned on suing her, not yet anyway, but because if it ever crossed that legal line, I'd be ready. And honestly, man, having that folder sitting there felt like insurance. But here's where it really got wild. She started contacting my family. My mom, my sister. Bro, the nerve. Suddenly she's playing this whole "I'm so heartbroken, I just want to understand why he's shutting me out" routine. Acting like she's the one who got blindsided. And my mom? Sweet lady, but too soft sometimes. She calls me up like, "Maybe you two should just sit down and talk one more time, honey." And I had to break it down for her respectfully but directly. Mom, with all due respect, this isn't about one dinner or one argument. This is about years of taking advantage. And I'm done being the guy who fixes everything while she keeps cashing in. She didn't love hearing it, but she got quiet after that. My sister, though? Different story. She saw through it from day one. She literally texted me after hearing from her and said she must be real desperate if she's running to me. Block her and don't look back. And you know what? She was right. Every part of me wanted to respond, to defend myself, to argue. But that's exactly where people like her trap you, keeping you in the cycle of explaining yourself while they rewrite the story to everyone else. Not this time. I stayed silent. Fully silent. And that silence? That's what rattled her the most. You could feel it. When they realize you don't even need to argue anymore, that's when they start panicking. And sure enough, that's when the last part hit. She wasn't done yet. Not even close. And here's where it really turned into something I couldn't even make up if I tried. A couple weeks go by, things are quiet, or at least, surface quiet. She's not blowing up my phone anymore, but that silence? It's not peace, it's strategy. You learn after a while that with people like her, quiet doesn't mean done. It means calculating. She was lining something up, and yeah, I wasn't wrong. One afternoon, I get a call from HR at my job. Totally routine voice, all polite. "Hey, do you have a moment? We just received some anonymous concerns that we're obligated to review." My stomach dropped, not because I was worried I hadn't done anything, but because I knew exactly who sent that in. That's her next move. If you can't destroy the man personally, you try to hit where he can't ignore it: his job, his income, his name. And bro, listen, this is where being smart from day one saves you. I keep my work clean. No mess, no drama, no office politics. My record speaks for itself. HR did the review, saw there was nothing to even entertain, and closed it fast. But the fact that she tried it? That's the part that sticks with you. That's when you realize you're not dealing with heartbreak, you're dealing with straight-up malicious behavior. This wasn't about feelings anymore. This was about control. About power. About trying to punish me for daring to step out of the role she designed for me. Honestly, bro, I sat in my car after that meeting just shaking my head like, this is the woman I was about to marry? This is who I almost tied my entire life to? And I know people love to say, "Oh, but she must have loved you at some point." No. Love doesn't look like this. Love doesn't turn into sabotage the second you say no. This was entitlement. Plain and simple. She thought she owned me, and when I finally cut the leash, she couldn't handle it. But even after that HR stunt failed, she still wasn't finished. I hadn't heard from her directly in almost a month when suddenly one night, knock at my door. And not like a casual knock. That kind of desperate, sharp knock where you already know it's about to be a problem. I stood there looking through the peephole, and yeah, there she was. No tears this time. No sobbing. Just standing there like she was ready to perform round two. And in my gut, I knew right there this wasn't over. Not yet. I didn't open the door right away. Just stood there for a sec, watching her through the peephole. She was standing like she owned the place, arms crossed, that little fake confidence people put on when they're desperate but don't want you to see it. Honestly, it was pathetic. But whatever. I opened it. She didn't even wait for me to say anything. Just launched into it like she'd been rehearsing the speech all week. "Look, we need to stop all this. It's gotten out of control. We both said things. We both made mistakes. Right? We both. That's always how it starts. Suddenly, everything's mutual when they need something." I stood there, arms crossed, letting her talk because I already knew where this was headed. After a few minutes of fake accountability and crocodile tears, she dropped it. "I don't want this to escalate legally. Neither of us needs that kind of drama. It's not good for your job, for your image, for either of us really." Translation? She was scared. Scared that I had too much on her. Scared that I could blow up every bridge she still had standing. She tried to frame it like she was protecting me, like I should be grateful for her concern. That's the thing about manipulators, bro, they can spit out pure poison with a calm voice and a smile like they're doing you a favor. I just stared at her for a second, honestly debating if it was even worth saying anything at all. But I did. I said, "You're not here because you care about us. You're here because you finally realized I'm not playing your game anymore. And that scares you." She tried to interrupt, of course, more excuses, more spin, but I cut her off. Flat. Calm. "Don't contact my work. Don't contact my family. Don't contact me. We're done. And if you push this again, I promise you I'm not the one who's gonna come out of it looking bad." That hit her. You could see it. The whole fake confident act cracked for a second. But here's where it got even more pathetic. She tried one more angle before leaving. The pity card. "You know, after everything we've been through, it's just sad it's ending like this." Bro, like I'm supposed to feel bad now? Like after months of lies, disrespect, backstabbing, I'm the one who should feel sorry? I didn't even respond. Didn't give her the satisfaction. Just stood there holding the door open till she finally got the message and walked off. That right there was probably the first real moment she understood it was done. Not a fight. Not a break. Done. But the part that stuck with me? Even walking away, she still thought she could spin it. She still thought she'd get to control the version of the story people heard. And honestly, that's where she messed up. Because I wasn't finished yet either. She walked off that night, but let's be real, I knew damn well it wasn't gonna be the last play. People like her, they don't know how to quit clean. They gotta squeeze one last angle, one more card to flip before it's done. And sure enough, not even 72 hours later, my phone buzzes again. But this time, not her. It's one of her little friends. You know the type, one of those fake mutuals who never really liked you but loved being close enough to the relationship so they could sip the drama anytime things went south. She slides into my messages like, hey, I don't want to get involved but she's really struggling right now. She feels like maybe you took things too far. Bro, too far? That's rich coming from her camp. I didn't even reply. I just screenshotted it, added it to the folder I'd been building since day one, and kept it moving. That folder? Yeah, it was getting thicker than some people's resumes at that point. But again, I'm not emotional at this stage. I'm surgical. That's the thing they never expect. They want you mad, reactive, so they can say, see? He's unstable. But when you stay cold, that scares them worse. Now here's where she made her biggest mistake. She tried to pull my family into it again, but this time, my brother. And if you knew my brother, you'd know that was a dumb move. Dude's even less tolerant of games than I am. She reached out to him, painting this whole sob story like, I just wish your brother would realize how much we built together. He flat out told her, yeah? Build your own rent payment now. We're done here. That shut her down real quick. But even after that, I could feel the desperation building. The likes stopped showing up on her social media. Her little side gigs weren't getting traction. The circle of people willing to co-sign her version of the story? Shrinking fast. And when narcissists start running out of audience, that's when you know you're close to the endgame. The last card they always play is the pity parade. That one public post where they suddenly become the victim of an emotionally abusive partner who never supported them and made them feel small. I called it before it even dropped. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, there it was. A long, passive-aggressive paragraph full of vague buzzwords meant to make her sound like some survivor of something. She never said my name directly, of course not, but let's not pretend anyone reading it didn't know who she was talking about. And here's the part most people don't tell you: you'll want to respond. You'll want to drop receipts. You'll want to burn the whole thing down publicly. But you know what feels better? Letting them scream into the void while you sit in complete silence, fully unbothered. That silence? That's what breaks them. Not the rage. Not the drama. The fact you won't even give him the oxygen anymore. And at that point, I knew she was running out of moves. But she still had one more stunt left. And that's where things really turned ugly. So here's how she tried to play her last card. I get this random email from a mutual acquaintance, not even someone I talk to regularly, forwarding me some open letter she posted in one of those little community Facebook groups. You know the ones, bro? All fake positivity, fake empowerment, like a therapy circle mixed with a pity party. She writes this whole sob story about being abandoned by someone she thought was her forever, how people change when you stop sacrificing your worth, and my personal favorite line, he couldn't handle my growth. Bro, growth? That woman hadn't grown an inch unless we're counting debt and drama. And of course, the comments were filled with her little peanut gallery, all the wine moms and bitter ex-girlfriends of other guys who chimed in with the usual, you're so brave. You deserve better. Sending hugs, queen. Whatever. Let them have their circle jerk. I wasn't touching it. But here's the kicker, buried at the bottom of the post. A little line that said, but despite it all, I truly hope one day he finds healing. Like she's some damn life coach now. Healing, bro? Yeah, alright. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there with a steak dinner, zero debt, my own condo, and full peace of mind while she's still trying to monetize the breakup like it's content. Healing's going just fine on my end. But you know what? I didn't reply, didn't defend, didn't engage. Like I said before, the best power move is silence. She can play victim all she wants. The people who matter? They know who she really is. My circle's small, but it's solid. And I sleep fine knowing I never have to deal with her or her circus again. And yeah, every time I walk past that jewelry store where I almost dropped $5,000 on a ring for her, I don't get bitter. I don't get sad. I just smirk, shake my head, and think, best damn refund I ever got.